By the way, this is a spoiler, but hey, it is a beautiful Friday morning, and this is a continuity of Letters to Milena by Franz Kafka. Last night I posted letters 19 through 22, so if you haven't read those, I highly recommend you go ahead and do so before jumping into this. With those thoughts in mind, let's get into today's letter. June 6, 1920, Sunday. This speech, on 2 pages of your letters, Milena, comes from the depths of your wounded heart. That hurts me, is what you wrote, and I have done this to you. And it rings out as clearly and proudly as if I had hit still and not your heart, demanding the most obvious things and moreover misunderstanding me for my ridiculous people are really none other than your own. And incidentally, when did I ever take side between the two of you? Where is the sentence where I would have come up with this infamous idea? And where am I to condemn? Who am I so far below both of you in every essential aspect? Marriage, work, courage, devotion, purity, freedom, independence, truthfulness. That it disgusts me to even talk about it. And when will have dared offer active assistance? And if I had dared, then how would I have actually assisted? Enough questions. They were sleeping soundly in the underworld. Why call them up into the daylight? They are grey and sad and affect one the same way. Don't be so certain that 2 hours of life are more than 2 pages of writing. The writing is poorer, but clearer. And so your speech misunderstands me. Nevertheless, it is directed at me, and I am not guiltless, but oddly enough, precisely because the above question must be answered with no and nowhere. Then your lovely, lovely telegram came to comfort me against the night, my old enemy. If the comfort doesn't last, it really isn't your fault, but the fault of the night. These short, earthly nights are almost enough to make one fear the eternal night. He's talking about death. Of course, the letter contains just as much wonderful solace, but on the whole it must be treated as one unit tyrannized by the 2 pages. The telegram, on the other hand, is independent and knows nothing about that. However, Milena, I can say this against the telegram. If disregarding everything else, I had gone to Vienna, and if you had given me the same lecture, which, as I said, doesn't pass right by me, but hates me, and justly so, not a full hit, but strong enough, face to face, and if it weren't said, then it will have to be taught in some way, glanced, twitched, or at least presumed. Then with one blow, I will have fallen prostrate, and no matter how good a nurse you are, you could not have helped put me on my feet again. And if you hadn't happened, then something worse would have. You see, Milena, Franz Kafka. And that was the end of the first letter. And in case you don't realize, he made a reference earlier when he said, if you had given me the same lecture, which I said doesn't pass right by me, bears me, and justly so. He's referring to letters. I believe it was it's in between letter 10 through letter 15. It's in one of those letters that Milena actually wrote to him, and, well, I'm not going to say judge him, but she was somewhat, quote unquote, this is in quotation, harsh on him. Don't quote me on that. Don't. But, anyways, with those thoughts in mind, let's get into the second letter. June 10, 1920, Thursday. Right now, I only want to send this. Moreover, I still haven't read your letters thoroughly, just flown around them the way a fly circles a lamp, burning my head several times. By the way, they are two separated letters, as I have already discovered, one to be completely embedded, the other designed to horrify. The latter is probably the later. If you run into an acquaintance and urgently ask how much 2 times 2 is, the question would seem lunatic. On the other hand, it's very appropriate in elementary school. With my question to you, Milena, both elements are present, both the asylum and the school. Fortunately, the school is there too. I never could understand it when someone got mixed up with me. And there are many relationships. For example, the one with Wheeze. That's the name of someone, by the way. For example, the one with Ways, which I destroyed with my logical disposition, my tendency to believe more and more the other person had erred, and less in miracles, at least in regard to myself. I thought, why use such things to stir up the waters of life even more than they already are? I can see the stretch of the road ahead, the road which is possible for me, and I know how far, probably unattainably far. I will have to be from my current position to deserve even a casual glance from myself, not to mention from others. This is not modesty, but arrogance, if you think it over. Even a casual glance, and now I receive your letters, Milena. How shall I describe the difference? A man is lying in the filth and stench of his deathbed, and the angel of death, the most blessed of all angels, arrive and beholds him. May this man even dare to die? He rolls over, burying himself deeper and deeper in his bed. He is incapable of dying. In short, I don't believe what you write, Milena, and there is no way it could be proven to me. Nor could anyone have proven it to Dostoevsky on that night. And my life consists of one night. Only I could prove it to myself, and I can imagine being able to do so. Just as you once imagined the man on the deck chair. but I wouldn't be able to believe myself either. Thus, this question was a ridiculous device. As you mentioned, as you noticed right away, of course, the kind of teacher sometimes uses when, out of exhaustion and yearning, he deliberately lets himself be deceived by one correct answer into believing that the pupil thoroughly understands the subject, whereas in reality, the pupil only knows it for some irrelevant reason and is in fact incapable of more thorough understanding, for only the teacher could teach him that, but not by whining, complaining, caressing, pleading, dreaming. Do you have the last 5, 6 letters? You should look at them. They are all part of the whole, but only by. Let's leave that open. On glancing through your letters, I said that you also mentioned the girl, so that there won't be any doubt beyond the momentary pain. You have done the best thing possible for this girl. I can't think of any other way she might have freed herself from me. Of course, she did have a certain painful foreboding, but not the faintest idea where the place beside me acquired its warmth. Uncanny, though not to her. I remember we were sitting next to each other on the sofa in a one-room apartment, Washwitz. It was probably in November. The apartment was supposed to become ours a week later. She was happy to have acquired at least this apartment after so much trouble. Her future husband was sitting next to her. I repeat, getting married was solely my own idea. I alone was pushing toward this end. She was merely scared and compliant against her will. But then naturally the idea began to grow on her. When I think about this scene with all its detail, more numerous than heartbeats, in a fever, then I believe myself capable of understanding every human delusion. In case I myself was deluded for months as well, although it wasn't just delusion, I also had other motives. Evidently, it would have been a marriage of reason in the best sense of the word. Capable of understanding every delusion to its core, and I am afraid to raise the glass of milk to my lip, since it easily might burst right before my eye, driving the splinters into my face, not by accident, but on purpose. One question. What exactly are you being reproached with? Yes, I have made people unhappy before, but certainly they don't go on and on reproaching me. They simply turn silent, and I believe they don't even approach me inwardly. This is the exceptional status I have among people. But all this is unimportant compared to an idea I had while getting out of bed this morning, an idea which entrailed, me, that I found myself washed and dressed without knowing how, and I would have shaved the same way had a guest not awakened me. It was the lawyer who considered meat a necessary diet. Briefly, it's like this. You leave your husband for a while. That's nothing new. It's already happened before. The reasons are your illness, his nervousness. You are also bringing him relief. And finally, the condition in Vienna. I don't know where you like to go. The best place for you might be some peaceful part of Bohemia. It will probably also be best if I don't interfere or even show myself in person. Whatever money you need, temporarily borrow from me. We'll agree on the term of repayment. To mention only one of the additional benefits that this would give me, I will become enraptured by my work. My job, by the way, is ridiculous, lamentably easy. You can't even imagine. I don't know what they pay me for. If now and then there are months when this proves insufficient, you should easily be able to raise the difference yourself. I'm sure it wouldn't be much for the moment. I won't say anything more in praise of the idea. However, this does give you an opportunity to show me your reaction, whether I can trust your judgment concerning others' idea of mine, since I know what this one is worth. Franz Kafka. And that was the end of the second letter. Holy, this letter was long. Oh my god, this letter was 3 pages long. Oh. But, so far, so good. You know, in the introduction earlier on, it says, by the way, this is a spoiler, but she dies in 1924. So this was written 4 years. These events happened 4 years before her death. And it just so happens that she gets sent in a concentration camp and helps others as some sort of an assistant nurse, if I remember correctly. So these events happened 4 years before her death. That's why in the letters, Kafka seems to be referring her as a nurse. It's part of the introduction. And how she treats people, right? So keep those ideas in mind every time it's mentioned that she couldn't treat someone or anything similar. With those ideas in mind, let's get into the last letter of the day. June 11, 1920, Friday. When will this crazy world finally be straightened out a little? I wander around with a burned out head by day. There are such beautiful ruins everywhere in the mountains here. They make me think I have to become that beautiful myself. But once in bed, instead of sleep, I have the best ideas. Today, for instance, a thought occurred to me to add to yesterday's proposal, namely that you could spend the summer at Statsta, who, as you wrote, is in the country. Yesterday I made the stupid suggestion that the money might not hold out through every month. That's nonsense. There will still always be enough. The letter written Tuesday morning and evening only confirms that my suggestion is a good one. This is hardly a coincidence. since anything and everything would have to confirm it. If there happens to be any cunning in my proposal, and where is it not that enormous beast which can shrink according to need, I will keep it in bounds. Even your husband can count on that. I begin to exaggerate. Nevertheless, I can be trusted. I won't see you at all. Not now, not then. You will leave the country which you love. In this we're similar. Rolling countryside is my favorite, not too mountainous, with forest and lakes. You misjudged the effect of your letters, Milena. I still haven't finished reading the ones from Monday, but only fear about you. I tried this morning and even succeeded somewhat, although my proposal had to some extent rendered this letter obsolete. Still, I was unable to read through to the end. The Tuesday letter, on the other hand, and the unusual card as well. Was it written in the cafe? I still have to respond to your Wefel accusation. I really don't answer anything you write. You're much better at that, which makes me feel good. Has left me sufficiently calm and self-assured today, despite a night made virtually sleepless by Monday's letter. Of course, Tuesday has its barbs as well, cutting their way through my body, but you are guiding them, and naturally, this is only the truth of a moment trembling with joy and pain. Could anything coming from you be hard to bear? Franz Kafka. And ladies and gentlemen, that was the end of the third letter and the final one. Let me mark this down. And hopefully you guys had enjoyed today's reading. And if you missed yesterday, I highly suggest you do, because yesterday was a lot juicier than today. Yesterday really had my heartbeat going. But that would be the end. And I hope you guys enjoy. With that being said, this was Letters to Milena. Have a good day and be good people. Bye.